Rhett Lloyd. I'm from 1518 Longwood Circle here in Fort Pierce. I was trying to get through to the back of this slide because I wanted to talk about 750, but the presentation that was done for us made a good idea of what 750 actually is. Within it, you can see the parallels, and I'm going to break that down. The first idea is that it's a federal grant or a federal direction of use of how we're going to allocate our resources, which is in the case of the NEPA project or the SANS project, our sand. Whereas 750 is a federal grant to decide that how are we going to use the resources of our housing and our zoning codes to regulate life the same way. They're going to direct the allocation of the resourcing of how we're going to put our housing, what type of zoning it can be, what's the density of our zoning, the same way that we want to direct how dense the sand can be in certain places of Florida. We look here, they talked about some of the features of the plan. It was going to be sustainable, it was going to provide economic development, but that was for Miami with its $11 billion seat. Unfortunately, they were very clear in making the point that St. Lucie County's seat is not really at that table, but at a child's table, because obviously $11 billion had a much bigger impact for the national economy. And so the overbuilt areas of Miami-Dade and Broward will have a much bigger say in how we are going to be regulated through the plan that's going to cover all 7 counties. Well, now it's only 6 because one of the less developed resources, Indian River County, which has room to grow, has gotten out of that plan. St. Lucie County needs to do the same. Martin County to the south of us has always been a slow growth community. The reach through 750 is much like the reach of the Army Corps of Engineers, and to direct how resources will be used. And so what's going to happen is that through the new layer of 750 bureaucracy, the players, the $11 billion players in Miami-Dade, are going to have a much bigger say on what happens here in St. Lucie County. And so the parallels were actually made wonderfully in this presentation, because it is another 50-year plan. They talk about economic development, something's going to be sustainable, but it's all for who? What the Army Corps of Engineers didn't talk about is the unintended consequences. Like when they first built the levees around Okeechobee, that's now providing toxic algae here in St. Lucie County. So when they talk about moving sand, they talk about projections of what will happen in 50 years, but they really have no clue, and we can't afford them to do that with our sand, let alone our housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.